Hey everyone! Today we are going to talk about one of the most shocking, painful, and brutal deaths in early European history. This is not a legend. This is not a myth. And this is definitely not a fairy tale. This is a true historical story, dark, violent, and deeply uncomfortable, about Queen Brunhilda, one of the most powerful women to ever rule in the early Middle Ages, and about how power, hatred, and revenge led to one of the most horrifying executions ever recorded. What happened to Queen Brunhilda at the end of her life was so cruel that even people living in a violent and savage age were shocked by it. Her death was meant to terrify, to humiliate, and to erase her from history. But history did not forget her. Before we talk about her execution, we must understand who Queen Brunhilda was, why she was so powerful, and why so many people wanted her destroyed. A princess from Spain, Queen Brunhilda was born around the year 543, during a time when Europe was still recovering from the fall of the Roman Empire. The world she was born into was unstable, violent, and ruled by warlords rather than laws. She was born into the Visigothic royal family in what is now Spain. This alone made her important. The Visigoths were one of the most powerful Germanic tribes in Europe, and royal blood meant political value. Unlike most women of her time, Brunhilda received a strong education. She could read and write, understood diplomacy, religion, and politics, and was trained to behave as a ruler, not just as a wife. In an age when women were expected to remain silent and obedient, Brunhilda was confident, intelligent, and strong-willed. These traits would later become both her greatest strengths and her greatest dangers. Marriage into the Frankish world. Brunhilda's life changed forever when she married King Sigebert I of Austrasia, one of the Frankish kingdoms. This marriage was not about love. It was about power, alliances, and influence. Through this marriage, Brunhilda became a Frankish queen. At first, her new life seemed stable. Sigebert respected her intelligence and allowed her to take part in political decisions. Together, they ruled a powerful kingdom. But the Frankish world was far from peaceful. The Frankish kingdoms were divided among rival rulers who were often members of the same family. Brothers fought brothers, sons fought fathers. Assassination, betrayal, and war were normal tools of politics. Power was not inherited peacefully. It was taken by force. And soon, Brunhilda would be pulled into one of the most bitter rivalries in medieval history. The queen who became her enemy. Fredegund, Brunhilda's greatest enemy, was Queen Fredegund, the wife of King Chilperic, Sigebert's brother. From the beginning, these two women hated each other. Fredegund came from a much lower background. She had risen to power through manipulation, cruelty, and ambition. She was feared, not respected. Where Brunhilda believed in law, royal authority, and structured rule, Fredegund believed in fear, murder, and personal power. Their rivalry was not just personal, it was political. It divided the Frankish kingdoms and fueled decades of violence. Murders followed murders. Assassinations were answered with revenge killings. Entire families were destroyed because of this conflict. And then came the event that changed Brunhilda's life forever. The assassination of King Sigebert. King Sigebert I was assassinated, stabbed by men believed to be acting under Fredegund's orders. Though proof was never officially established, many believed Fredegund was responsible. With Sigebert's death, Brunhilda became a widow. But unlike most queens, she did not disappear into the background. Instead, she stepped forward. A woman who refused to step aside Brunhilda became regent for her young sons and later for her grandsons. This meant she ruled in their name. This was extremely unusual. A woman ruling over warriors, nobles, and kings was deeply threatening to the male elite. Many nobles already disliked her because she tried to limit their power and strengthen royal control. She punished rebellious nobles. She removed corrupt officials. She insisted on loyalty to the crown. To some, she was a strong ruler. To others, she was a tyrant. And because she was a woman, her actions were judged far more harshly. Over time, enemies multiplied. Decades of power and growing hatred. For nearly 50 years, Brunhilda remained one of the most influential figures in Frankish politics. Think about that. In a world where kings were killed quickly and violently, Brunhilda survived assassination attempts, revolts, betrayals, and wars. She outlived her enemies. She outlived her children. She outlived almost everyone who once opposed her. But survival came at a cost. People began to blame her for every war, every death, every political disaster, even those that happened decades earlier. Whispers spread. She is too old. She is too cruel. She is too dangerous. And then came her final enemy, King Clothar II. The son of her enemy, King Clothar II, the son of Fredegund, grew up hearing stories about Brunhilda. To him, she was not just a ruler. She was a monster, a symbol of his family's suffering. Whether these stories were true did not matter. By the early 7th century, Clothar II had grown powerful enough to challenge her. And in 613, Brunhilda was betrayed. Betrayal by her own nobles, the same nobles she had ruled over for decades, turned against her. They captured her. They tied her up. They handed her over to King Clothar II. This was the moment when mercy could have ended her story quietly. But mercy was not part of Frankish justice. A trial without justice, Brunhilda was accused of countless crimes. Murdering kings, killing princes, destroying noble families, causing wars. Some accusations may have been true. Many were exaggerated. Some were completely false. But the verdict was already decided. She was guilty, not because of evidence, but because Clothar II needed revenge. 3 days of torture. Brunhilda was now an old woman, possibly over 70 years old, maybe closer to 80. For 3 days she was tortured. She was beaten. She was insulted. She was publicly humiliated. The soldiers did not treat her as a queen. They did not treat her as a human being. She was a symbol, and symbols must be destroyed completely. One of the most brutal executions in history. Finally, Clothar II ordered her execution. He did not choose a quick death. According to historical records, Brunhilda was tied to a wild horse. Some sources say several horses. The animal was whipped. It ran. Her body was dragged violently across the ground. Bones shattered. Skin tore apart. Pain beyond imagination. This was not private. It was public. It was meant to terrify everyone watching. After she died, what remained of her body was burned and the ashes were scattered, as if Clothar II wanted to erase her from existence. How history remembered Brunhilda, even in a brutal age, her execution shocked people. Some historians believe Brunhilda was unfairly portrayed as evil by writers loyal to Clothar II. Others admit she was ruthless, but argue she had no choice in a violent world. One truth remains undeniable. No matter her crimes, her execution was extreme. Power, fear, and legacy. Brunhilda's story teaches us something uncomfortable about power. Power protects you until it doesn't. When power disappears, it often turns into a curse. She ruled for decades. She shaped kingdoms. And yet, she died in absolute humiliation. Final thoughts. Queen Brunhilda's life was not heroic. It was not romantic. It was tragic. She was a woman ahead of her time, trapped in a world ruled by swords. Her death reminds us that medieval history was not glorious, it was brutal. And her story survives because it forces us to face that truth. Thank you for watching.